Oh, hi there. Welcome. Start of the month. Yeah. Tuesday, April 27th. Here we are. Um, yeah, if you've been watching live, you might have noticed this. Probably not so apparent from the YouTube recordings after the fact, but yeah, I kind of haven't been streaming for a while. Yeah, I got the COVID shot. What was it, 2 weeks ago now? Yeah, so I got that. And that was like right at the beginning of the mail file development process. So like I started mail file on Monday, got the shot on Tuesday, and man, it just like completely kicked my ass. Yeah, supposedly you're supposed to get side effects from the vaccine on the second shot, but for me it definitely happened on the first shot. So it was like a couple of days where all I could do was just kind of, lie in bed and be exhausted. So, yeah, I got sick, threw me off schedule, and, yeah, just thought of just the concept of, like, getting thrown off schedule kind of, like, set my world for a spin, right? Because, like, something that's, like, very important in life in general that I'm discovering, and something that's, like, definitely important for, like, social media, live streaming, blogging, tweeting, like anything. It's to have like a consistent schedule, essentially. Like, doesn't really matter what your schedule is per se. Like, there's people who put out videos once a week. There's people who put out videos once a month. If you're talking about like Casey Neistat, he used to do videos like literally every single day for like several years. I think he was doing that for 2 or 3 years in a row. But anyway, consistency is like so important, and so I lost my consistency, and yeah, everything just kind of fell off the rails. I lost the consistency, which meant that the work was kind of suffering. I wasn't streaming, and then I was feeling bad about being not consistent, and so on and so forth. And yeah, it was just kind of a rough week and a half. So anyway, I've been trying to get back to a good steady clip of work where I'm streaming and making progress, and writing blogs, tweeting, live streaming. So anyway, you got to kind of ramp up back to that to get back into the flow. But I will be back there soon, and the stream will be step one towards getting my consistency back. Which leads us to today's mantra: the master has had more failures than the novice has even attempted. So I think a lot of people have this kind of thinking. I mean, I definitely do. I have this in spades, but it's kind of the idea that if you fail once, you've like failed forever. In effect, like if you commit to doing something and you do it for a little while, but then you falter, then it's just like not worth continuing with because you've already ruined it. Something to that effect. But really, people who can do something with consistency, like straight from the get go, and just do it forever. That's like a rare breed of people. People stop and start this stuff all the time, and they have moments and down periods and things like that. So anyway, it's all just a process of like learning how to be consistent in the first place and learning how to do this, and the concept that you kind of have to fail repeatedly in order to really learn anything or grow or get to the point where you can kind of like get beyond these supposed failures, and start to reap the benefits of like all the lessons that they teach. Really like the idea that like you have to go through that process to become a master, because the novice, they're a novice because they haven't like gone out there and gotten their nose bloodied, right? They haven't made those attempts. They haven't had those failures. They haven't learned from those failures. So yeah, just trying to view this as like kind of my learning experience, and my series of practice weeks, practice months, on my way to having mastery over this process and getting to the point where I can be super consistent. So anyway, yeah, want to view things with that kind of attitude and perspective, and stop being so serious, stop worrying about like faltering with my streaming schedule or not getting these things out on like the once every month clip like I thought I needed to or wanted to, and yeah, just get to work, do what I can do what I do what I'm capable of, and it's gonna be a lot better than doing nothing. So yeah, there's the psychology of where my head's at right now, and here's the plan for what we're actually doing. So, we're gonna get back into mail file. I guess I should put that in here, shouldn't I? Get back into building mail file. You can put a little link in here as well. And why don't we make that a link as well? Alright, cool. So we're going to get back into building mail file. Specifically what we're going to be doing is getting the database up and running. And then we're going to maybe start parsing some dummy emails. I have been having trouble with like email and getting Amazon SES set up, which is supposed to be this like simple thing. It's called simple emailing services, but somehow every single time I have to do something with it, it's like kind of a procedure. So we'll get the database up and running, maybe start parsing some dummy emails, and then eventually we will be receiving actual emails. Although all of this begs the question, what is mail file? So let's check this out. My blog, startupiнаmonth.net, we have a mail file product announcement, and essentially what this is going to be is a product which allows you to email yourself important things to save. So this is something I do quite a lot in the form of just like emailing myself. Like if I have a link or a picture or a recipe or anything I want to save, just the like easiest, like quickest, cheapest way to like kind of save that for future reference is to email it to yourself and have it in your inbox. And that gets around all the problems of like, cross app compatibility, phone app, browser app thing. It's like, you could save it on your phone essentially, but, you might be signed into like Trello on your phone, for instance, but not on your computer. Maybe you forgot your password, for instance. So now you got this thing on your phone, but you can't access it on your computer. Or maybe it's like only available in app form and there is no website. Just like saving things and having them like universally available like everywhere is like a big problem for me. I think it's a big problem for a lot of other people too, hence why I often resort to just emailing myself, because it's like the easiest way to get around all that. Because I've got email everywhere, I'm always signed into email. I know exactly how to use my email, and it's just like super low friction, easy, just like send the email and you're done. However, the problem with this is that it's just really hard to like keep stuff and like save it and remember it once you like email yourself, right? Like you send something off into your inbox and unless you like access it like straight away, it like starts to kind of disappear under all the other emails that you get. You get newsletters, you get emails from friends and family, you get work emails. I don't know, there's like a lot of different categories of stuff, but it's always like kind of piling up in there, and things quickly get swallowed, and unless you like remember the URL, you're never going to find it again. So the idea with mail file is to kind of change that subtly. So instead of emailing yourself, you email mail file, and it'll take a look at the subject line of the email and the body of the email. And it'll save the content of the email as like a savable thing. And then if you want to categorize that, you put it in the subject line of the email, and that's how you kind of like organize things and put them into piles. So if you have like, recipes you want to save, you go to the recipes section, or if you have like quotes you want to save, you go to the quotes section, stuff like that. So it's kind of combining the kind of effortless ease of like emailing yourself, but saving it in like a better, more nuanced way, essentially. So that's the idea. If you want to check it out, you can go up here, startupiнаmonth.net/mailfile announcements. That we go to the main blogs, just like living right here in recent posts, and that's where it is. So we're going to work on that, and specifically we're going to get the DB up and running, which is a database called Datonic, which is an awesome database. But it's a little bit weird and quirky, and I've had some trouble working with it. I think it's still like worth it to use essentially, but it's been a bit of a struggle. Although at this point the struggle is still worth it for me. So let's get to it, shall we? Alright. Right, so I need to start my server, which means I need to remember where all my stuff is. And this is another part of being consistent, is that you remember where all your stuff is, all your scripts, all your things. I'll definitely need to start the atomics. Let's start with that. Apps, start the atomic. Alright. I think that'll just go. And then, do I have something for like starting caddy? I've got this caddy file. Yeah, so it's like, 3443, right. Okay. 2019 caddy run. Yeah, caddy run. There we go. So we got our server running, we got our database running. I should say we rather have our reverse proxy running. This isn't actually the server that's running the code per se. Let's see if we can like start the landing page for this. Let's see, main. Let's see. I need to go to our deps.eden file. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah. And if we can do all this, then we know we're in a good spot. Download a couple new dependencies. Alright. Theoretically, we go to mail file local, and we're there. Maybe. $8081. Yep. Ah, yes, we are running. Cool. Alright, great. Excellent. Yeah, one thing I've actually changed too is switching from Vagrant to local development. So I figured just working with containers was like way too much work and not worth it. So yeah, Caddy's a big part of that since it does SSH certificates automatically, so you don't need to worry about certbot or like making your own certificate authority and self-signed certificates on your local. You just like run it and it's like done. So that's super sweet. Okay, so we got the atomic running. We've got main. We've got source. And we've got app. Okay, right. I was working with auth recently. And I think we're not going to do anything with auth. But we are going to start Ripple. We are going to start the app. Let's see where we're at. Okay. One more tab. Let's see apps. Alright. Main. M app. Right? Backend. Kind of freeing not to have any viewers. I don't know if I have any viewers or not, but no one's in the chat anyway. And it makes it a lot easier to get back into streaming, I'll tell you what. So if you don't have to worry about... Oh, probably shouldn't have showed that. Oh well. $70.70. Okay, so now we need to change our caddy file to serve the backend app. So we've got this running at like localhost 7070. Okay, so we can serve something on localhost 7070, but I think getting this on our URL is going to be good. And I did have subdomains before, so I had like PicStory, and then I had like app.picstory. So I want to do that this time. App.mailfile.local. Do I want to do something like mailfile.local./app? Yeah, I think it's cheap to experiment, and I think that subdomains are a little confusing for the end user. So mailfile.local/app. Alright. Let's figure out how to configure that. So I've worked with Nginx a fair amount, but I have not worked all that much with Caddy. Let's go. Full Caddy file tutorial. Matchers. Some directives only to certain requests. Alright. This config will not work like we want. In practice, we may want to use the reverse proxy only for API requests, i.e. requests with base path of APIs. Easy to do by adding a matcher token. Matcher token star means just everything. API/everything. To match on anything other than a path, define a named matcher and refer to using name. Oh, that's cool. So I can have a path and a method. That's super cool. Because matching by path is so common, a single matcher can be inlined like so. Redirect from old to new. Named matchers. Okay. It's getting a little baroque. It's way more than we need right now, but it's cool that we can do all that. Alright. This does work. Yeah, what did I type? Did I type mailfile.local? And then it redirected me. Let's see. I did. It redirected me to www. Okay, let's see. /app. That's going to be 7070, I think it was. Yes. Alright, exact same thing here. I think you can actually, like, reload Caddy with new config when it changes. Oh, wait, hold on. Watch. So like a Caddy watch. Reload, reverse proxy, validate version. This is a bit pointless, but -- watch. Yeah, here we go. Watch the config file and automatically reload after changes. Yep, that's cool. Okay. So, Caddy run -- watch. Alright, now theoretically we go here and we get that same thing, but we don't. /app/hi. Character encoding. Do I get that same error here? Yes. Back to the file /app 7070. So that's definitely the right address and ports. But it won't run. Why not? When we request an app the Caddy knows about. Oh, hello. Thought that should log. It's usually when I hit a route, it'll log something. Alright, definitely save this. Yep. Serving initial configuration. There we go. We hit it twice. 2 logs? No? Interesting. Adapter config environ. Be nice if we had some logs so we knew what was going on, but we don't. Maybe I have to put that first. Maybe I have to put that first. So I want to match that path before matching anything else. Although if that really mattered, I'd probably be getting the mailfile.local landing page instead of just a straight up error. However, totally worth it to try. Alright, 81, 70, 70. More shots. Alright, that still works. Slash app. Slash app slash what? Doesn't work. Four. Okay, so we don't know how to get this whatsoever. Which I think means this problem might live higher up than Caddy. I think it might live in my there's another thing I was doing to try to make the whole DNS situation for local development a little easier. DNS mask. Resolve domain needed. Proxy. Reverse proxy. This might be the Caddy version 1 documentation I'm looking at here. Reverse proxy. V2 equivalent is reverse proxy. Okay. So once more, that probably doesn't matter, but just for the sake of trying something new, let's give it a shot. Alright, serving initial configuration. There we go, this still works. Slash app. No. Mailfile.local slash app. Slash what? Instead of this wildcard matcher, maybe we'll just try to match a specific path. Let's just make sure we're not totally crazy. This no longer works. Yes, okay, that's good. Start one more time. Here we go. Mail file local Europe. Mail file slash what? Nothing. Well, this is not super critical to what we're doing right now, so I'm just going to ignore it and go with localhost 7070, and we'll figure it out later. That's fine. Cool. Okay. So, right, we wanted to get started with Teutonic. That's what we're doing. Let's see. Did I already do this? Let's connect to the REPL again. Host 7071. I think that should be. Namespace, load the. Oh. Ah, right, this is where I got stuck. It was specifically because I was using the client API. And someone told me about that. What did they say? Okay. Okay, you define a client, you connect using that client to a DB name. And what I want to do is I want to put a schema in. And let's see if we can get here first. Alright. There's the URL. There's the config. Moment of truth. The client like the config, maybe it does. The connection, unrecognized SSL message plaintext connection. D/connect. The arg map. Yeah, maybe my URI is incorrect. Oh. Why did it log when I started? 4334. 4334, right. Definitely not 4334. And possibly not even just plain old localhost either. Alright. New DB URI, new config, new client, new connection, Stack Overflow. Ooh, forum.atomic.com. This is cloud. Let's try with this. Oh, it's gonna work. Not getting anything from my REPL anymore. Interesting. 2. I cannot. Maybe I should just reconnect. Maybe double check if I'm logging anything crazy. Oh, hello. Socket closed. Alright, that's okay. I think that's from the main app. It's not from our Datomic stuff. Config. Client. Connect. Ah, nothing, man. Jeez. I really want to use this database, man, but good God. What a pain. This is the in-memory database, which is not what we want, because this is not persistent. I want to work with the dev database. Local div setup. Let's try this. Oh, gosh. We got the license. We're running the transactor. Creating a database. Did all that. I wonder if the transactor logged anything. Nope. Okay. Alright, we should not use the peer library, we should use the client library. So let's back up a little bit. Alright. DBRI 4334/hello. Let's see if we can get this working. Alright. Acquired but never used. Alright. False. True if the database was created, false if it already exists. Alright. Well, that's good. Pretty much did what we wanted to, right? I wonder if we can now start working with this. Validate host names false. Don't know what that means. Alright. So we got the new config with the DBRI creating client secret elided. Good name. Good idea. And valid consent. Is it just localhost 34, 43, 34? I'm a little skeptical. I wish you would say something when I did that. I wish he wouldn't freeze my ripple either. Using the client library. So I need a transactor and a peer. Start a peer server. Alright. Oh, hello. Okay. So that's an error we got while trying to connect. But we don't have a peer server. So I think we need to start one of those. Okay. Peer server communicates with storage and the transactor to service both reads from and writes to datomic databases. Yeah. We created a database, we're running a transactor, so now we need to start the peer server. Okay. One more tab. One more tab. Where'd my transactor go? Okay, it's here. Transactor, peer. Okay. Datomic peer server on localhost at port 8998. /d hello. Okay. Let's just run it. Now I need to run it from here, don't I? Yep. Alright, serving. System started. Now serving. Alright. Feels like we're on a good track. Okay. Don't really understand what's going on here. Server type peer server. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Alright. Client. Moment of truth. Hey. Frontline con. Database name. Hello. Database ID. Hey. Hell yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, we got it going. Excellent. Only took me a half hour, but we got it going. Good. All right, let's go. So, what do we want to do here? We want to maybe put a note. All right, notes. Let's see here for setup instructions. All right, we'll leave that in there as a reference to ourselves, and then how about we change this from hello to mail file. Normal business. Okay. And there's a couple things I have to do, right? I don't have to let me do this off screen just for one moment here. To make sure I don't inadvertently show something I should not. Okay. please. Localhost. That's all good. Okay. Cool. Well, that's taken care of. Yeah, so I think I just need to start the peer library again. Change this to mail file. I've not created a mail file database. This may actually mail file as hello. Nope. Serve mail file as mail file, please. I don't think I've created this database yet, so this may not work. Oh, we have. Okay. Or maybe we have, maybe we haven't, but did not throw an error, so I'll assume we're all good. Alright. New DB URI. Create database. False. Okay, so it did actually exist before. But now we can connect to it. A new config. And the connection is good. Cool. Alright. So we had our whole user schema set up here. We're not going to be doing anything with like, well, any of this except for username possibly, but username and email, but we can transact it into the database. Detransact. Cool. All right, we got some transactions in there. XT 1001. All right, it's finally working. Oh my goodness. I shouldn't close that. Calva outputs. Split rights. All right, there we go. So where do we go from here? We got the database set up, and I think we can do some work. I think there's some work in front of like actually using this database. Man, I just wanted to like get up and going since it was like so frustrating trying to set this thing up. But yeah, I think for now I know that I can like actually use the database and it's going to be working. So we're going to shift gears slightly and get into parsing dummy emails. Yeah, so let's see. Where should I start there? I think I should probably start with the body. Parse body of email by new line. And then I'll get back into the database pretty quickly after that. And then we will transact each of those new line separated characters as an entity to be saved in the database. Transact those parsed lines as individual entities to transact into DB. Cool. Done. Finally. Yes, we got it. Excellent, excellent. All right, so let's move on to parsing stuff. So we got the app, got the backend, we've got the core. Now, how should I organize this? Last time I had kind of a mess of stuff just everywhere. Handlers. I could write it as a handler. Database. So we're gonna have the database connection. We're gonna have the schema. We're gonna have the handlers, which transact the schema, transact the emails into the databases. I might do this with pig story. I think it was all on handlers, right? Yeah, insert story, update story. Yes, these are like handlers hooked up to API endpoints, and the handlers deal with actually reading and writing from the database. So I think that's a good way to go here. All right. Good. All right. We're not using Composure this time. We're using Read It, which it's a bit of a learning curve to get up and running with that on the front end, because Read It is a router which will work both on the back end and the front end. So I had a reasonably good experience integrating that in on the front end, and now I'm also going to be using it on the back end just to kind of like cut down on dependencies and code switching between like different things on the front end versus the back end. So I think we're going to do that here too. But what I don't know is how all this stuff is actually going to get to me. So I'm using Amazon SES, and that'll actually receive the emails, but I don't know if I can send like a HTTP request from SES once I receive an email, or if I have to somehow pull it from the place where the emails are stored, like a S3 bucket or something like that. So it strikes me that the best and easiest way, at least my ideal scenario, would be like, SES receives that email, and then once it receives the email, it sends me an HTTP request to my server with like a post new email, and it'll be like, hey, we got this thing, here it is, you deal with it now. So yeah, how about we write a route to handle emails, and at the very least that'll just be like kind of the front end for this functionality, and the bulk of it will really actually live in that handler function. And then if it turns out that we actually have to like pull that stuff from SES as opposed to SES like sending it to us, then that implies some different things. But I think a likely scenario is that we can have an HTTP request sent to us from SES with the contents of the email. So that being said, what do we call it? / new email. When I post to that URL, we're going to handle email. Post new email. / save email. Yeah, maybe more like save email. Handle save email. All right. Now, before I get too far into the spaghetti code, let's do handlers.clj. Defen. We're doing well. Let's define that as namespace app.backend.handlers, I think. app.backend.core, yep, okay. Alright, let's load that into the REPL. Let's load this brand new function into the REPL. Let's go into core. app.backend.handlers, refer handle save email. Let's get that dependency into our REPL. Let's save our new router settings, and let's test it. Alright, so app request method post. Hello, URI save email. Why are you formatted like that? It's because I don't have the... Alright, notation do I? Wrong number of args. Okay, wrote a new function, have it here, have it loaded into the router, and now save email, stats 406. Cool. Okay, so now we can receive that. What is actually getting passed to that function, I wonder? Print line. As the ring request, of course. Okay. Closure.pp. That thing. What? Oh, wrong. Wrong route, isn't it? Okay, cool. Yeah, so we got the Reddit core match. That's cool. Template, save email. It's the data. Post has data associated with it. It's the handler, which is the name of the function. It's the path, the post, the middleware. Options. No doc true. Alright, cool. Well, good to know. Not totally useful for what we're doing right now, but good to know nonetheless. Okay. So here we are in handlers, and I think a code structure improvement we can make over our old code would be to not do all the database connection and setup work actually here. So I think I have like several database connections in this app using MongoDB. So yeah, I think I'll define that like in the core file and then pass the connection to the modules that need them. And yeah, can I do that? Well, we'll find out. Should I be worried about this? Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's just do it the dumb way for now, shall we? I'm not big or strong enough yet to worry about this kind of stuff. Okay. Oh, is that the actual syntax? Oh, well, cool to know it works with square brackets too. Okay. Cool. There we go. One too many. All right. There we go. Database URI. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break. I'll be back. Alright, we're back in business. So, what are we doing? We have made our handlers. So, let's get all this stuff loaded. This log's false. Right. Get a new config, a client, and a connection. Alright. Yeah, exciting moment, guys. This is the first time I've ever actually, like, saved something programmatically into Atomic. So exciting, I don't even know how to do it yet. And more into the fact I don't even have the function, which is gonna like parse the content to save in the database. So a little bit ahead of ourselves. So let's get to the point where we can like actually parse stuff first. Okay, so theoretically, I like to imagine project setup. Local dev detransact. Okay, so we're going to need this later. Detransact. Yep, here we go. Okay. Definitely need that for later, but for now, is there like a string parsing? We can't do this just with like regular expression. Ooh, parser library. Hello. Instaparse. Interesting. And a Reddit thread with parser libraries. Alright. Instaparse. Kern. Alright, so maybe my understanding of the word spec is a little different, or parse rather. So I have used spec, that's for like validating input, or so I thought. Really what I want to do is current enclosure lib. So I just want something that will kind of take a look at my string and like break it up into smaller strings for me. Parser is a higher order function whose job is to match an input string against a specific pattern. Right. Yeah, so this is looking at some pretty complicated stuff, like a JSON map. So first drawer, last hex, ID 22. Specifically looking at a JSON string. So that's a pretty cool feature. You can take like an array of scores or a string vector of, is that a string? Nah, it's just a plain old JSON array maybe. So that's a little bit more complicated than what I imagine I would be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. But CSV parser, definitely useful. Not right now. Detecting separators. XML parser, not really what I want. Comments and white spaces. Now we're getting into like writing your own programming language kind of stuff. Parse easy, Instaparse. context-free grammars. Also a very cool topic, but not really. What I'm into for this specific task. Grouping optional 0 or more. Yeah, this looks like regex a little bit. There's also Molly. Oh, Molly. I get it. Molly. So one of these could be. Description. It's an age. Could be something I eventually use, but I think for now I just need a function that'll split strings into smaller strings based on new line characters. So let's start with it and keep it small. Okay, so let's see. Define split on new line. So that's going to be a function we have. It's going to take a string. Oh, we should have some test input too. So test email body. It's just going to be a string, right? Yeah, and say we wanted to like test body 1. We'll have like a couple of scenarios here. So test body 1 would just be like a link to Molly, for instance. It'd be that. And then maybe a second one would be like here's an interesting question. Will that show up as a new line? Do like NPR. It's a weird selection of things to save, but so it goes. Okay, so we'll try it with that. We'll try it with 2. If we can do 2, we can probably do 3, and then we'll try it with 1 new line in between, and then with like 2 new lines in between. 1, 2, 3, 3 and 4. All right. If we can do all of that, I think we can pretty much handle things. Although another possible scenario would be like test body 5. That'd be like maybe like a couple new lines before and a couple new lines after, something like that. So let's make sure we can properly assess that too. Yeah, so I'm seeing a bunch of tabs. Definitely white space characters. Didn't Molly have... Ah, no, I'm thinking of Regal. Yeah, Regal's a cool one. Land of Regal. Refined, repattern. Okay, so that's like built-in functionality. seek, regroup. Real question is whether we can use this on JavaScript land. I think so. Whoa. Crazy. All right, you convinced me. Let's integrate this thing. Regal. Clojars. Nope. Patch version 97. Very interesting. Tills for nasty. Definitely counts. Alright. I think there's a way to like actually load new dependencies into your app without restarting the server, but I don't know how to do that yet, so we're just gonna do it like this. Alright, don't need a generator, just need the library. And the library gets required in the handlers. Here we go. Yep, we don't. A friendly little ant all over my ish. Alright, so let's get started with Regal, shall we? Yeah, so I want like something preceded, possibly my new line characters, a string. Yeah, how would I write this out? It would be like, it could have a new line character before, it'll have a string eventually, it could have new line characters after, it could have a string after that, and it could have more new line characters. So how do you write that as a regular expression, I wonder? Vertical white space. Grammar. Cats. Match the given Regal expressions in order. Alt. Maybe I can like regexer. Man, can I even write this in like normal regex? Alright. It's been so long since I've done like regular expression stuff. I feel like I'll get a better time if I just go straight into Regal. Okay. Repeat. Zero or more times. Manage the given form 0 or more times. Okay, so we're going to start with that. What would we even call this? We call this like def new line filterer. Regal regex. Alright, here's a good example. Catenation of the following. Our demo def r. Class. Class. Any of the given characters or ranges. Okay, so we got something called R, and now need to figure out how to use that. Convert to host specific regex. Okay, there's a whole bunch of new line characters. And then we'll match strings. Nil. That's because we don't actually have any new lines in there. So, here's an interesting challenge. I wonder if I like copy this in. Copy this in, but not with the quotes. And support escape character /a. There we go. Nil. Show hidden. Getting it away. Yeah, just hold on a second, guys. All right. Older, how VS Code show white space characters. I think I need to see. Enter white space. Not show me anything. Maybe a better, more reliable way to do this would be to take this as a file and like read the file, or like send it in the body of the request. That's probably even better, right? But even then, if I was going to do this on the code side of things, I have to worry about the auto formatting that I'm getting from Calva. So I think what I'll do is I'll do like demo strings.txt. And how about we do this one? All right, a couple of returns, one return in the middle, a couple after. Yeah, let's just leave that in for the sake of having it in there. Weird input. One can expect weird input when doing this kind of work. All right. So let's just comment that out for the time being. Instead of matching on this string directly in this function, how about we do slurp demo strings.txt. No such file or directory, eh? Close your cheat sheets. IO. Oh. Slipper webpage, that's super cool. Ah, I put this in the wrong space, didn't I? File not found. But it's totally in there. Can't do this. That's super cool. Great for web scraping, I'm sure. Okay. Slurp demo strings, but if I tell it to slurp something at that path. Ah, there we go. Okay. Now we see the new line characters in the string itself, so that's a really good sign. Okay. Great. Slurp. Regal regex. I think we unhelpfully deleted the demo code that we need. All right. So instead of that string, we're going to slurp on a path. We get nil back. Okay, so that means we haven't written our regex right. So I think that should have given us back at least the white space characters. Any white space characters and any number of like strings, right? Word, match word characters. Any number of white spaces followed by any number of words. Yep, that looks right. Does this give us anything? No. Regex matches using this regex against that string. Interesting. Def test string slurp path. So now we've got this test string in memory. I wonder if it's like an async thing. Still nil. Test string is definitely what we want it to be. Regex, at least in theory, is what we want it to be. So it's not working here. Maybe that cat. Concatenation, match the giving regal expressions in order. Alt, match one of the given options. Well, the first thing I can imagine to do would be to get rid of cat. So now let's just match like words. This may in fact be all I actually have to do. But still no, which is really weird. Match the given form 0 or more times. 1 or more times. Maybe 1 or more times is what I need. Still nil, man. Jeez. What if I just like use this directly? Still nil. What if I try a different test string? Nil, nil, nil. Nil all the way down. Turns the match, if any, of a string to a pattern. This will certainly work. No, it won't. What? Man, that was straight from the docs, wasn't it? Oh, hello. Distinction is that refind tries to find any part of the string that matches the pattern, but rematches only matches if the entire string matches the pattern. Maybe refind. That's what I really want. Regex find. HTTPS. So what's that test string again? Found one word. Okay. I guess a word is anything that comes before some piece of punctuation like that. Alright, so now we got the ability to like find regular expressions, so that's good, but we need to write the correct regular expression to actually match this whole URL. So I guess it could be like a couple things, right? Like it could be this. Let's rename this demo 1. And we'll just copy or duplicates demo 2. So another possibility that we could have is just like a single string, no white space whatsoever. Another possibility. Next possibility would be demo 3. Would be like that with white space after. Right. Yeah, tricky problem. Tricky. demo 2, and demo 3. Seem the most likely to me, right? Like, hello, goodbye. Like a link followed by a single line of text. That seems like a pretty common scenario, right? Okay. So if we did that, slur path, oop. That's gonna be like demo 1. Demo 2, demo 3. Okay, so first challenge, match this whole thing. So yeah, it's going to be any number of new line characters followed by text followed by any number of new line characters. Okay. Cat. The following. Any number of new line. Followed by, I think that's one or more, right? 0 or more times, so 0 or more new lines, followed by any number of words, non-words, digits, character, new line, return. Not white space. So like an or, new line or return. It's going to be alt. There we go. Match 0 or more of the following, either a new line or a return. We got a word, but a word is like this. We want to get that whole string. So maybe we should just match any. Does not match new lines. Start in digit, non-digit word, non-word. This. Vertical tab, interesting. Okay. I think that's what we want. So let's try that. A method and multi-method for dispatch values any Java 8. Okay, so we're doing even worse than we were before, because now we've got 2 new lines with an H. Before we were just getting HTTPS. Okay. need is a capture group. Capture any. Let's give that a shot. Getting closer. Maybe I'm getting a little too complicated here. Maybe instead of using like regex to match this stuff, maybe I just need to like split. Closure dot string has string. Get that into our namespace. Double escape maybe. Nope. Split on new lines, closure. Oh, split lines. Even better. String split lines. Alright. So we got what we want. Now we just need to like filter out all the BS. So trailing characters, that's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, so I guess we can just like filter based on a couple properties, right? The first thing we're going to filter on is a string with a length of 0. That's obviously not something we want. Okay, as expression. Okay, so that's going to be a vector of one or more items. We're going to filter count. If the count of this thing equals count 0, logical true. Okay, so that should actually be greater. Greater than. Alright, let's see what this is. Great, so we got rid of all those strings with a length of 0. We can't go through and remove white space because these are just URLs, but maybe someone would want to save like a quote or something. So yeah, we've got like a tricky thing where we've got it's like string with a single character, a single space. Ah man, I can imagine this being like general enough where something with a single character may actually be valid, right? Because it could be like, you know, some poem X here, something like that. Like if you were going to save some kind of prose, for instance, and there was like something like that, or maybe like an emoji or something. I think those are actually like ligatures, so those would probably be more than one character. But you could have something like that, so I probably don't want to filter out single character strings, even though this is like obviously not right. Yeah. Tricky issue. Okay. Maybe I could like offload this to the user some way. It's like another idea I'm getting is that this is not going to get it like perfect every single time, right? And so if you're going through and you're trying to save multiple things, then we're going to come up with some like false positives and false negatives. So maybe there's some way in the UI to represent that. Oh, am I getting too far ahead of myself though? Am I trying to get too smart too quick? That's the other question too, right? Like, if I give myself an example that's just like so unrealistic as to be unhelpful or unuseful for this like initial development. I think I have. So let's get this working for demo 3, because this seems like the most likely scenario, right? Like you'd have a string and then like a new line break and then another string. So let's get it working for this, and I'm gonna call that good for now. Can't get too clever too quick. It's one of the lessons I've learned from this experience so far. Alright, demo 3. Test string is going to be slurp demo 3. So what does this give us? It gives us an old... no, that's right. Or is it? Hello, goodbye. Saved it. Ah, still demo 1, isn't it? Demo 2, demo 3. Get that into REPL while we're at it. Alright, so what does this give us? Alright, it gives us a list of 2 strings. Cool, so that works. And then for each of those individual strings, we're going to save them as entities in the database. So let's move on to that, shall we? And this would work for like prose too, right? Like if I'm talking about a quote, like Tupac had some good isms. Oh, reality is wrong, dreams are for real. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, what if I want to do that? Reality is wrong, dreams are for real. Okay, so our most likely scenario is saving a URL, saving a quote. That both works. Alright, I'm going to call that good enough. Rebuild, you're super cool, but I think you're not the right tool. Or at least not the right tool yet. So let's get rid of all this code. And might need you later, so we'll just comment out the require statement for now. Okay. So split on new line. Already wrote that function, didn't we? Process string, we're going to call that. a process string in there. Can we call process string test string? Cannot support on this type character. Cannot support on this type character. Things have changed when we turn this into you know, we're not splitting. Split lines. So we were doing that from before, weren't we? There we go. Can this handle something with just a string, no new lines? Let's find out. Demo 2. It can. Excellent. Alright, so let's think about how we want to actually save this. So this is a dev schema. No need to get it like super mega exactly correct just yet. However, I did draw this out before. Let's go back and reference this and see if it's worth anything. Text. Item. Savable. Content type. Yes, this is what I'm working with. Let me share this on the screen. So, I think basically I'm working from the context of like a savable thing, right? And so this will have something called a type. It'll have a tag. It'll have content, and it'll have a title. So I think something like that is going to be the thing I start with. Type. Type/name. Type/tag. So the idea with Datomic is to save entities. And once you've got an entity in there, that's a fact. And then once you have facts, you can start to make associations between those facts and start to build up something on top of that. So, I wonder if I should just save these individual strings as entities in of themselves and then like build up this concept of a savable from there. So if I was going to do that, what would I do? Oh, nice. I had underlining from my white notebook. It's kind of a nice effect, isn't it? So if I was going to do that, what would I do? To start, I think I would put my standing desk up so I can stand instead of sit. Alright, off mute so you guys can hear me, but not so you don't get overwhelmed by the electric motor. And, yeah, let's try to build, like, some relationships, right? So we have, like, the concept of a savable. And that's just, like, literally got one attribute so far, I think. slash text. Has a couple other things. Namespace, attribute, type, and value. EAVT. Attribute type. Maybe I'll call it a saved item. That'll be the namespace. The attribute be text. The type be a string. The value be just a string. Okay. And from there, we can have a concept of like a link, and then we can have a concept of yeah, well, let's just start with the link. Namespace, link. Header be a URL. Type be a ref, and the value will be like a ref to a saved item. I think I like that. Yeah, it's nice and simple. This database is kind of designed to like have a simple idea, like a simple concept, and to like kind of expand that concept as your problem expands, as your domain expands. So it may actually be a good exercise to kind of like deliberately start as small as I can on this, and then go from there. So I think I'm going to do that. I've got the concept of saved item. That's exactly what this corresponds to. It's just like a string that you send to the service, and then the one thing that I definitely know how to find is a link, because yeah, link is like a formatted string. It's going to have some kind of protocol, HTTP, HTTPS. It's going to have like a .com or a .net or a .something. It's going to have slashes in it. So yeah, I think that's going to be where we go from here. Okay. So first things first, let's define our schema. Core, handlers, nREPL. Maybe we'll have a new folder like DB. And we'll have like schema.clj. I'll have core.clj. All right. So here's the third time. I'm copying all this over. Space app backend db core. I want a pretty printer. I'll probably maybe want some string stuff. Definitely want the client API, and we'll definitely want the API in general. All right. Let's go back to our playground and copy everything that we need. Got our config, we got our clients. All right, so we got that. We'll actually use that later, but now I think it's time to define the schema, which we also have an example of over here. Namespace. I don't feel like typing that out again, so how about we copy it. And backend db schemas. Rename. Okay. So user schema, we'll definitely need that eventually, so I'll keep that in here, but let's see. Yeah, actually, now that I'm here, I'll keep that for later. All right, def. User schema def saved item schema. It's gonna be a vector of facts. That's all you really need to worry about. All right. DB ident. It's going to be a saved item slash text. The type is going to be a string. You can have one. The raw content of what the user has sent to mail file. First step. Separate everything out by new lines. Second step. Save those new line delimited strings as individual entities in DB. Alright. Great. And it's only got one HP for now. Alright. So we have our saved item schema. Now we're going to have our link schema. It's going to have link slash URL. It's going to be a string. It's going to have one. The URL save link. Oh, it's not going to be a string. It's going to be a ref. Points to a saved item text entity. Alright. Cool, so we got our schemas. How about we require those over in db/core. app.backend.db.schemas refer all that stuff. Alright. So let's see, let's load this namespace and just run all this code. Saved item schema does not exist. Are you sure? You're probably right, because I didn't load that into Ripple either. Alright. Cool. So we've already transacted the user schema. We did that at the beginning of the stream, so let's see if we can do it one more time. Transact. If it increments the transaction index, then that'll be something we have to think about, because I only want to transact these once. Right. So we went from 1001 to 1002. So that's probably not really what we want to do. We didn't assert anything new about them, so I don't think that we need to worry about like changing the information in the database necessarily, but we do need to, it'd probably behoove us to not perform transactions that we don't need to perform. So yeah, this should be something that I do at the point where I make a new schema, and not something I do as just the process of like starting up the server. Yeah, it shouldn't be something that happens like every single time the server restarts, because it could restart like 100 times, and then I'll go from like, you know, time index 1002 to like time index like 1080 or something, which is not the end of the world, but you know, anything you can do to cut down on static with that kind of stuff is beneficial. Alright, so let's transact this link schema once. Let's transact the saved item schema once. Now all this stuff is in there. Okay. Alright, so all those schemas are in the database, and that's great. Next thing to do is to... I guess I could define the actual functions that perform the transactions in this file, and then import them into handlers. Yeah, that's possible, right? I'm already tired of standing, so I'm going to sit. Okay, sitting procedure complete. Let's go. Yeah, I guess I would call it like defin add new saved item. Text. So that's going to be like dtransact, not star. Transact with connection. TX data. Yeah, like I mentioned, I've never actually done this before, so let's learn. Local dev setup, dbdoc, hello world. New entity with the doc string, hello world. Alright. So namespace, attribute, and value. And I have to put it in a vector because there could be one or more. All right. Let's try this. This is not in our schema, so I would expect Datomic to reject this. Did it? Something don't exist. Unable to resolve entity. Okay, that's the error I was actually looking for. All right. So we know now that if we try to transact something that is not in the schema of the database, we'll just have an execution error. That's good. All right. And now we reference the schema and we just call it saved item text. It's going to be the text. All right. Load this into the REPL and let's try to call it add new saved item, some string, I don't know. Okay, cool. So we transacted that in there. We got an instant, we got a temp ID. Yeah, so we know that works. Now we need a way to create a link to add new link. So now we're gonna need like a reference to that like datum's ID. Training course transactions. Compare and swap. Yep, map forms, that's what I'm using. Internally, the map structure gets transformed to the list structure. Each attribute value pair becomes a db add list. If you do not provide an entity ID, Datomic will generate a temporary ID for you. The map structure support is a convenience when adding data. As a further convenience, the attribute keys in the map may be either keywords or strings. Alright. When you're adding data to a new entity, you identify it with a temporary ID. Temporary IDs get resolved to actual entity IDs when the transaction is processed. Simplest kind of temporary ID is a string that follows these rules. Can't begin with a colon. IT attribute value. Okay, so I think like I'd have to call add new saved item. I'll have to give it a temporary ID, and when I create the saved item in the database, I'll have to have one of those temporary IDs. Could I even? I'm not sure I could even do that in two separate functions. Or maybe I could, but I would have to like eventually boil it down to something that looks like this so I could perform all of that in a single transaction. Yeah, so I wonder. Might be easiest just to like not do a saved item. Well, maybe leave that around in case it ends up being useful, but we can say like URL. So we'll do like d-transact the connection following transaction data. db add new link. It's going to be saved item slash text of URL, and that's also going to be db add new link. What we call that? It's going to have a link slash URL, which points to new link, I think. Why am I getting... guff here? Link URL, db ident. Missing value for key. Map literal must be... oh, right. There we go. Had to wrap it all in one extra vector. So I think that's what we want. And new link, HTTPS startup ammonth.net. Cool. So perform the transaction. Add two entities. And committed to transaction ID 1010. Yeah, so let's try to find what we just transacted, shall we? Query, executing queries. Let's see, find atomic client API queue. Oh, for fuck's sake. It's all about data log, but I need some demo code, man. DQ. DQ. Find with an N. Alright, so I did some of this in a super awesome tutorial called Learn Data Log Today, which I can include as a link. Learn Data Log Today. Excellent for learning syntax. Yeah, so if you guys are curious to like learn about datomic, learn about data log, that's a really good place to learn about it. Although I'll need a little bit query against the DB. Right, okay. Yeah, so I need to connection DB. Need to figure out how to get access to the DB. Tutorial read. Yes. Actually, let's just do this. Query this DB with this. Okay. So find the find this entity ID where there's like entity 1 and entity 2. Entity 1 is the URL, entity 2 will be the saved item. Alright. Okay, saved item text is going to be this. The URL is going to have a reference to entity 2. Unable to resolve symbol E in this context. Dpoll, dquery. Need a quote. Need a quote there. Alright. Alright. Now we're getting steam. Perfect. I think we got it. So can we look up the URL by the entity ID is the next question. Find URL. Well, we know the entity ID already. Link EID, I think it is. Right, so we know the EID. We know the link URL points to E2. And we know that E2 has the text that we're actually looking for. All right. URL. I think I need a little refresher on how to look something up. By its entity ID. Link URL. Oh, shit, we got it. Nice, man. Nice. All right. Cool. So we know we transacted something successfully into the database, and now we know how to query for it. So let's hook this up to our function, and then I think... Yeah, let's hook this up to our handlers. Let's hook the handler up to the API. Let's run the API, and then I think I'm done. I think I'm done for this stream. I think that's good progress. Okay. So I got this function add new link. This out for now. Find URL by find entity ID by save URL. All right. So add new link. Let's take you over to our handlers. Let me see. Oh, app.backend.db.core refer add new link. All right, handle save email. It's going to be add new link with our URL. Saving new URL. That's what we will log. All right. Get that into memory. Get that new function. Load everything into core, and then I think save email URI. So it's going to be a post. Def and log request. All right, so if I post for save email, what do I see? I should see a log. Okay. Data. Where's the data for a post going to come from? Where's that living ring? Ring spec. It's going to be in like params, I think. Ring object structure closure. I think it's got to come in params, right? Oh, you know what? I can use pic story as a reference for that. Alright, so that's going to be in core. I was doing like multi-part params before. I think I'll just try params for now. Good job, everybody. Okay. So params. Oh, I need to wrap params, don't I? Wrap params. New handler. Params URL. Didn't have that before, did I? Oh, I did. That's okay. Alright, so we're going to have a handle save email. Handle save email is actually going to be rec save let URL. It's going to be gets in the map and the keys. So it's going to be params URL. Put that in the scope. Now once we have the URL, we can just add the new link. I'm pretty sure. Alright, let's test it, everybody. Hey, look at that. That's great. Now if we look that up in our handlers, or rather in our database, bet we're going to see it. Excellent. Alright, cool. So that's, yeah, small part of the process, but a big part of the process. Maybe I'll wrap this in a function. EID for that, and that'll be effectively the exact same thing, right? Cool. Very good. All right. Well, I think I'll stop it for there, but before I stop, let's review what we did. Yeah, what we got done. Finally got Datomic up and running. Turns out reading the documentation carefully can take you a long way in this world. Little thumbs up. Alright. We added a route for saving a new URL from an email. We wrote specs for saved item entity and link entity in Datomic. Let's see. We wrote function to save a new URL. And finally, we hooked up the API to submit a new URL via post and save it in the DB. Alright, cool guys. So for next time, what are we going to do? I think we will hopefully get up and running so can test these with actual emails. And yeah, I think I want to expand functionality to save beyond just URLs like quotes or other random pieces of text. Excellent. Okay. So it was a pretty good stream altogether, honestly. Yeah, like having people in my chat, you know, it's really nice to have, like, you know, someone along, like, watching, but, you know, viewers will come back. They'll definitely come back. Once I start streaming regularly and, you know, start to make some posts about, like, you know, hey, I'm streaming, come check me out. I should get back up and running with the stream, but, yeah, honestly, I was a little nervous about streaming when I started, but, yeah, it's all turned out a lot better than I thought it would. It's not so difficult to get back into it. And it's definitely worth it too, even just for the sake of like imagining that I'm talking to someone, right? Just imagining that you're talking to someone, going through the process of like talking to yourself, talking out a problem out loud. It's massively useful. So it's good times, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll definitely see you tomorrow. All right, catch you then.